Well, I have a very simple way of reading whether people are truly toxic. Now, there's to say that there are toxic narcissists out there. We all have narcissistic tendencies. We're all self-absorbed, but some people are toxic narcissists. There are people who have toxic envy. We're all subject to feeling envy, but there's some people who carry it to a toxic level. Passive aggression is something we share, but there are people out there who are toxically passive aggressive. And the way to recognize them is simple. They tend to occupy a lot of mental space in your head, thinking about them. They're churning up all of these emotions, and most of these emotions are negative: fear, anxiety, resentment, frustration, confusion, guilt. Okay. Occasionally, there might be a positive emotion put in there because sometimes these people are good at playing push and pull games where they inject a little bit of affection to get you hooked, then they pull back. But overall, you can recognize them by the fact that most of the emotions they churn up are negative, and they absorb so much of your mental space so that when they're not around, when you're not dealing with them, you're thinking about them. And I compare the mind to like a house. You've invited these people into your house, and they won't leave. They're in your bedroom, they're in your living room. They've taken residence there, and you can't get rid of them. Okay, so they're occupying your brain when you don't want them to. That's how you recognize any kind of toxic person. But the most important thing for you to understand is they're playing games to get you emotionally involved, to trigger you, to get inside of you, to get their hooks in you. The best thing you can do is to recognize them before they are able to do that, before they enter your house and take residence in your head. If you can do, then you can control your emotions. You can get rid of them, or you can not have a relationship with them, or you can be relatively objective and unemotional in dealing with them. But once they have their hooks in you, once that toxic narcissist has been able to get inside of your life and get all these little dramas going on, it's very, very difficult to disconnect. So the most important thing is to recognize them. And in the masterclass, I give you some clues as to, for example, how to see those toxic narcissists in our life. I mean, I could talk about all the other types, but just to focus on the toxic narcissist, which is the main type that we deal with, particularly in the world today. And the thing you must understand is that a lot of toxic narcissists can rise to positions of power. And why is that? Because you would think that because they're so self-absorbed, they would never be able to become like a CEO. But people like Elon Musk, and I'm not judging him as a business person, but he is very, very narcissistic, and he's very, very powerful. The reason is these types of people from early on in life have learned how to be very charming, how to be very dramatic. They're very theatrical types of people. And you look at the surface, as I said earlier on, you get too much wrapped up in people's appearance. They look dramatic, they look exciting, they look confident. And then you get involved with them, you work for them, you have a relationship with them, and slowly you realize that they don't care at all about you. They're simply using you as a pawn, okay? So some of the signs of a toxic narcissist is that they're very theatrical. The other sign is if you do something, if you insult them in some way, or if you resist them in some way, they go into what's called toxic rage. They cannot handle any kind of criticism because they have this deep insecurity and emptiness inside. And so if you trigger any kind of negative feeling on their part, they will explode into this rage. The other thing I tell people is we didn't talk about nonverbal communication. And in the mentor class, the mentor show that I do, I focus a lot on nonverbal communication because it's extremely revealing about people and about who they are. And toxic narcissists, in my experience, have this one very common trait, which is when they're looking at you, they appear to be interested and excited, but you'll notice that their eyes are kind of dead. They're not really excited. They're not really interested in you. People who are interested in you, who like you, who love you, who want to be involved with you, who are not using you. Their face is animated. When they look at you, their eyes are open. But when you look at a toxic narcissist, and I've noticed this time and again, is their eye is kind of blank, it's kind of dead. They may smile, but they're not really looking at you. They're looking at you as an object that they can use for their own purposes. And so these are some of the powerful ways. But the most important thing is, do not get involved with these people. Learn the basics of recognizing envious people. Enviers tend to be among your friends. So one way of seeing a person who's got toxic envy is they're in a rush to befriend you. You meet them, and then 3 days later, they're your best friend. They want to know everything about you. They're texting you all the time. They love you. They think you're great. Now, that's not a normal human pattern of behavior. Most of us are kind of a little bit tentative when we first meet somebody. This is a classic sign of somebody who's getting close to you in order to hurt you, because they envy you in some way. So in the class, I have many, many other more tips about how to recognize these people so you don't let them into your house before it's too late.
Yeah, I was like reflecting on it because I've gone through the master class, and I feel like you did an amazing job with identifying those people, because we're gonna come up against them, and a lot of times, like we just can't avoid them. Like we're gonna come, we can't avoid not coming in contact with them, but this gives us a nice framework to just like figure out who they are and run in the other direction. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm curious, for the people in the audience, is there anyone who wants to learn how to build better relationships, wants to learn how to influence people? Because I think this is and just to kind of conclude, Robert, I think from here, what I'm hearing you say is like, recognize that the narcissist, the root of how they grew up and their upbringing has taught them this way of manipulating people. And when they hook into you, they basically that's when they latch into you and they suck you dry. And then the person who envies you, they're trying to get close to you so they can manipulate you and do all that stuff. Am I on the right track?
Yes, you are. And the thing is, toxic people don't wear a little sign on their head saying, I'm toxic. They've learned very early age to hide it, to hide it behind a veneer of being charming, of being friendly, of being likable, etc. And so it's very, very tricky, because you can't recognize them. You can't see them just based on how they look at you, based on their appearances. You have to be able to look behind them and see the reality.